Welcome to the Center Mid Philosopher. This episode is brought to you by Augustus Royale Fashion. Life's not black and white, it's gray, and gray is beautiful. Check out the brand below in the link. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this week we got a very special guest, Wells Thompson from Winston-Salem, OG'er, cut from the same cloth. And super excited to have him on, great legend from Wake Forest, and then professionally drafted by the New England Revs and played at various clubs all over the MLS, and just excited to dive in with him on some current events in the world of soccer and then hear his story. So, Wells, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Blessing to connect, man. I feel so honored and pumped to be on your show, brother.
Thanks, man. This is great. Now, the honor is all mine. Again, I want to hear your playing career history, but just right off the top, because we're hot off the presses on Berhalter's rehire. I kind of want to get your thoughts on that. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 being this is as excited as I could possibly be about a men's U.S. soccer hire, where would you say you are on that?
It's a good question. I am definitely an anomaly. Like, soccer is my life. I don't really keep up or watch it, which is, take that for what it is. Man, I'm honestly, like, when I think about it, I'm proud of Berhalter. Like, the fact that he's back, that he wants to be back, that amidst all the chaos and the media and the crap storm that went down, he stuck to his guns, and I'm happy about it, man. I'm happy about it.
Yeah, good. No, I'm glad to hear it. And again, there's no right or wrong. I mean, I'm happy too. I mean, if I'm answering that question myself, I'd say I'm like a 6 or 7 out of 10. But that sounds bad. I don't know that there is a 10, frankly. Like, I don't really know. I mean, I don't even know if I'd be 10 out of 10 for Pep Guardiola, or, you know what I mean? And so, I mean, I don't know. I guess I was a little excited about Marsh potentially too, but this may end up playing to be the smart move, all in all. But anyway, no, I appreciate you sharing that.
Well, I think you got to give him time. I think, he did a little bit and made some progress, and I think you got to give him time. I mean, everybody wants a microwave success,
That's
but
right.
it takes time. So
That's right.
I'm glad he has more time.
Yeah, and it's brought to the foray a lot of questions around, like, how do we define success for the U.S. men's team, and of course, World Cup, and I think we performed really well there. So I mean, I give that a solid grade. But going into 2026, where I guess goals and ambitions are different than expectations, but I would say, what are your expectations for how we do in the 2026 World Cup?
Man, you're asking the wrong guy. Literally, like, I'm a massive UFC fan. I watch UFC fighting every weekend.
Sure.
I've got 3 young boys, and my wife and I and my 3 young boys get around and we watch the prelims. If it's pay-per-view,
Mm-hmm.
if it's not pay-per-view, we watch all the fights. So needless to say, I'm a little bit out of soccer, and this is kind of who I am. Like, I've never been much of a spectator.
Mm-hmm.
I like to play, and I like the action, and I like to be involved. What are my expectations is that U.S. soccer continues to improve, and I think it will. I said this immediately when they didn't make the World Cup 2 World Cups ago, that it's going to be one of the greatest things to ever happen to U.S. soccer, because I think it shook up a lot of things. I think it's been a good old boy system,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it still is, who knows, but it's shaken up a lot of things, and people are being held accountable. There's new faces, and so I think all that, we're just going to continue to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I think that we're just going to get better and better. And so that's what I expect from the next World Cup, is we're going to be better than we were this past World Cup.
Yeah, and so that's a good, in a way you answered it. To me, that's quarterfinals. And that's sort of my goal and expectations, is that we make it to the quarterfinals. And then, I get, as we had Grant Porter on, and he was saying, from there, really any country in the world, I mean, it depends on who you draw, and, but I think getting out of the group stage is not, I mean, that's great, but I think we need to start to set the bar at like, nah, we're looking to get to that next round. And then I think that's the expectations for me. So that's, as you said, better than we did last time. We got out of the group stage. Pretty unfortunate draw to Holland, but I think we got to win that. That next game is where I'm hoping we'll be. How about the Messi to enter Miami again?
Is Messi coming to MLS?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kidding. I knew that.
Someone said that. I guess, again, this is great for you as someone, former player that doesn't watch it a ton due to family obligations, work, other interests, which, by the way, is not that uncommon. I mean, I can't tell you many people that were some of the best players I ever played with that don't watch it that much. And that's kind of the true American story. We have the endless smorgasbord of sports and entertainment at our fingertips. And listen, I watch college football and Major League Baseball and NBA and college basketball as much as anybody. How much will that get you to tune in more?
I think it's massive, man. And so I got a unique perspective because I was in New England when David Beckham came, and was it 7 or 8? Do you remember?
No.
It was either 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And that was massive.
Yeah.
That was massive for MLS. And, man, it's grown tremendously since my time. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, I mean, the fact that Messi's, I mean, what are they talking about? Ticket prices are like skyrocketing, right? They're like as much as a Taylor Swift concert,
right,
to go see Messi play.
Right.
So,
That's right.
It's awesome. I'm so excited about it. I think it's amazing. I'm excited to see how he plays, what the competition looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, the league, since I've been in the league, has just continued to improve and get better and better.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's a massive, massive deal for MLS and U.S. soccer.
It is. And so you mentioned, you got to play against Beckham, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I did. I guarded him.
Wow.
I remember kind of taking him for granted, like he's older, I'm younger, he's not going to be as quick or fast. And man, he was good. He knew the game. And I just remember because he played right mid and I was playing left back, I think, when we were out in LA the first time. So it was like, we were really, he just knew the game. He knew how to play. He had a brain for it. And I just remember telling him he wasn't special, I put on my underwear just like you do, buddy. 1 foot at a time.
Nice.
One leg at a time.
That's awesome. That's great. I want to hear a little bit more about you and your upbringing in the game and how it's influenced your life and career to date, and certainly what you're doing now, which sounds super interesting and cool. I can't wait to hear more about that. But maybe just give us the dime tour, the Wells Thompson story. I guess you probably grew up playing Twin City FC.
Yep. I grew up playing for the Twins. Club soccer these days is so much different from when I grew up. Mm-hmm. I mean, I played with 12, 15 of my really good friends for 15 years, we were all on the same team, and it was amazing, man. Those are the good old days. You know what I mean? Those, I don't think about going back to play pro again. I think about going to play with my club team because that was awesome.
I know.
But I was, typical American kid. I played everything growing up. So I had an older brother who's 81, who was a year older than me, and he was my hero, man. Wanted to be just like him. So I just kind of followed along, did whatever he did. So got into baseball, basketball, soccer. I grew up playing ice hockey, golf, tennis. I was an athlete and I love the game. Obviously, the older you get, the more you kind of have to, time plays a factor. And so baseball and soccer were my big sports. Mm-hmm. My dad said baseball was too slow for me, so I ended up focusing on soccer. But my story is very unique. I started using drugs and alcohol when I was 11, 12 years old. And so that quickly spiraled out of control. By the time I was 16, I was going to end up dead or in jail. My parents didn't intervene in my life. Interesting enough, my mom tells me that the straw that broke the camel's back was when I told her I wanted to quit playing soccer. Right? Like I love soccer. I love the game. I live to play and compete. It's been my life, and it's given me so much in life. But anyway, off track, wasn't going to school, literally going to end up dead or in jail, Matt, if my
Mhm.
parents didn't intervene. They tricked me to come home. They hired guys to kidnap me in the middle of the night. They handcuffed me and drove me 12 and a half hours up to the middle of the Catskill Mountains in New York, where I spent a year and a half. So like think about that, from 16 to 18 years old, a kid that wants to play college soccer. I mean, wasn't even thinking about playing college soccer at this time, but like
Mhm.
had ambitions to take soccer as far as I could. I was in a lockdown facility in upstate New York. You know what I
Wow.
mean? So we tend to, especially in youth sports, get, oh, how do I make it? If I'm not on this club or if I'm not playing on this team, like I'm never going to make it.
Mhm.
And so, I look back on my life, and the only reason I made it was God. I mean, obviously I was very driven. I love the game. I got my life back on track, came back, grew up in Winston-Salem, so like 5 minutes from Wake Forest campus. Repeated my senior year, had some smaller offers to go to college, but Bobby Muse, the assistant coach at the time, who's now the head coach, just recruited me like I was an All-American,
Mhm.
And so Wake's one of the best of the best and has been for the past 25 years. And so I was competing against guys that captain our USU's national team,
Mhm.
right? Gatorade National Player of the Years. And I was just kind of this hometown scrub.
Mhm.
So I was a walk-on. They invited me as a walk-on, had a spot, didn't have a scholarship. And when I was drafted fifth overall 4 years later, the coaches looked at me and said, "Wells, we thought you'd never play a day at Wake." And I was like, "Gee, guys, thanks for the confidence. Why'd you bring me here, jerks?"
Right.
But no, I look back on my life, and all the stuff that I went through as a kid actually really prepared me for when I went to Wake. I knew what it was like for no one to believe in me. I knew what it was like to like fall down and have to get back up. And that really, a lot of that stems from my older brother, right? Like we competed all the time. I never beat him. This is what a typical day looked like. Come home, play basketball, ping pong, pool,
Mhm.
whatever, you name it. He beats me. I chuck the ball at him. He beats me up. I cry. And I do it again over and over and over again because I just love to compete and I love to play and I wanted to beat my brother. And so I really attribute a lot of my success to my brother, just kicking my butt
That's awesome.
day in and day out. So yeah, man, I never thought I'd play a day in college, let alone professionally. And even like being drafted professionally, I wasn't sure I was going to be drafted.
Mhm.
I was playing with two-time All-Americans and had a good college career, but not one of the best. Wasn't a Herman Trophy finalist or an All-American. And the New England Revolution just really liked me.
Mhm.
And so they drafted me and ended up becoming a dream come true. Played 9 years professionally. Won some really cool things, met a lot of really great people. The real world sucks, man. I wish I could go back and play again,
Mhm.
and just do that for a living. But
Right.
obviously, it's a young man's game these days, man. I'm 39. I'm not getting any younger, and my hips are bad. And
Mhm.
so that ship has long sailed.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That's awesome, and I love the story of redemption. Whether I guess it's hard to determine what role soccer did have in all that, but it did, as you mentioned, it was sort of the tipping point when you knew there was a problem, when something you loved the most in your life you had become sort of apathetic towards, and for whatever it's worth too, to take a little of that pressure off on you. I mean, there were times where I thought about hanging it up as well. I played with Logan Paws and a bunch of those guys down in Chapel Hill, and was having to travel an hour both ways for a lot of practices, playing for Elmar, and with all these guys on the national team. So it's not just, it's a grind, man. It's tough, and you get into high school years, you gotta fight through to keep going. But kudos, and I mean major congratulations to all that you achieved. I mean, that's an incredible career, and I mean you talking to someone like you that has made it at the biggest stage. So don't sell yourself short. Congratulations on everything that you achieved and for overcoming obstacles.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, man, and it's an honor to have you. And for the listeners and viewers, we have a mutual friend, Michael Thomas. I call him Freaky Deaky. We love you.
Freaky deaky. I didn't know
Well,
that.
it stems from Deke, which is short for Dirt Kid, because he was not he didn't do a lot of laundry in college. I'll tell you that. But there are worse nicknames out of there. But he's great. He's the best and the best, and we love you, buddy. And he introduced us, and he was telling me
Yeah.
some really cool stories about you. And I was hoping you could retell it as in the theme of how soccer plays a role in influencing you in your life, and your career and what you stand for. And he was telling me about how you and him connected with some of the Hispanic youth down at the border, and you guys went down and brought balls to them. And anyway, I'll hand it over to you, but it was just a really unbelievably cool story that I was hoping you might be able to tell us about.
Yeah, it was the Houston, what's the big Coliseum or annex there, the downtown convention center or
Yeah.
whatever. And these were, I guess, people trying to get into our country. And
Hmm.
so they were being held there. And it was, I don't know, I want to say thousands of them. And so Mike called me one day and was like, "Hey, man, you want to go deliver balls?" And it's like next week. And I was like, "Hell yeah."
Hmm.
Like, that sounds like amazing. And so this really stems for me is like, I love Jesus, man. And I believe that, like, to whom much is given, much is expected. And so I know that I've been given so much in this world, and I want to share that, right? And I want to give back. I want to love other people. And I tell you this, the greatest thing soccer ever gave me was it took me all over the world
Hmm.
and introduced me to people from all over the world. Like, and it's the world's language, right? Soccer and music, right? You can go anywhere in the world and you can have a soccer ball and you can communicate with people.
That's right.
And so I've done that. I've done that in the slums of Africa. I've done it in prisons in Chile. Like, I've done it in the downtown convention center in Houston. And so essentially what we're doing is just trying to bring some joy and some light into these kids' life, right? I mean, their future was kind of hanging in the balance. We were trying to figure out what to do with them. And so we just went down there as me, Mike, another North Carolina prospect, who I consider one of the greatest youth players this country has ever produced, Justin Moose.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, he was down there with us and a couple other guys, and we just went. We delivered balls. We did some juggling tricks. We tried to just give them a little hope and encouragement, man. And so, yeah, it was amazing. It was fun. I mean, those are the times that I look back on, and you know, the times that you cherish. Like, yeah. So it was awesome. I mean, Mike was the one that was leading that trip and was really just kind of utilizing his network with soccer.com and trying to give back. And that's what I love about Mike. Like, he understands it, right?
Hmm.
We vibe and see that, and try to live our lives that way.
Well, I mean, that's just I mean, I have goosebumps you telling that story just because, I mean, it's kind of what it's all about. And that's what this show is all about, is just that, hey, listen, life's not all about soccer, and that we're not pretending that it is or should be, but it can be a means of positivity and fun, excitement, happiness, joy, connecting, and breaking down barriers of language and religion and socioeconomic status. And I just think that's an unbelievably cool story. And I'm just curious, like, did you guys just show up and, like, or was there any sort of, like, did you have to connect with anyone down there and be like, hey, can we come
Yeah.
do this? Or, like, how did that work?
Yeah, it was soccer.com set it up, and Mike set it up through their charitable arm, which is Passback, which Mike is kind of running or involved in.
Hmm.
So we took a bunch of balls and a bunch of like gear to hand out. But I mean, they're in the annex or in the downtown convention center, kind of against their will, right? They're trying to come into our country. We're trying to figure out what to do with them,
Hmm.
and so it's very heavily secured, right?
Hmm.
The security you have to go through. We had to do all these different protocols to get in there. They had to search us, right? I mean, it was really tough. I mean, I remember when we were leaving, we went into this kind of secluded room, and it was like it was a suicide watch room,
Oh
just to put it
man.
bluntly,
Wow.
right? Like, these kids are like, "This is my dream. This is my life." A lot of them, like, they take their life savings, or their uncle sends them, and they have a sign, and they're like, "I'm looking for this family," and so I don't know, it just puts life into perspective, right? And we went in there, we did some juggling things with them, and just, again, man, trying to give a hope, like what you said, life is tough. Life
Yeah.
is freaking tough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we need each other to help each other and to lift each other up. And soccer can do that, man. It really can. It's such a beautiful game.
It is. It is, man. Couldn't have said it better myself. And I mean, just blown away at the story, frankly. And I mean, when you were giving it to these kids, I mean, did it bring them joy? Were they smiling? Did you get some laughs?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, we did. I mean, I went up and addressed like the whole room, and so I spoke a little bit Spanish. So I was like trying to get him to laugh at my
Yeah,
broken Spanish.
yeah,
And then Justin did a bunch of tricks. I'm not a trickster, never had a trick in my book. Like, can barely juggle, but Justin's like a trickster, so he did
sure.
tricks in front of all of them.
Hmm.
And then we spent like the next, I want to say, it felt like 2 hours, like walking around. I mean, it was a huge annex,
Hmm.
just kind of going from group to group and like passing, playing little small sided games with them. At the end, our team, which was like five of us, competed against like one of their best teams
Hmm.
because they had soccer goals in the annex, right?
Hmm.
They knew like these kids love soccer. They had balls, and so we just spent 2 hours just playing with them.
That's
I
amazing.
remember I tried a bicycle kick and I shattered my phone there.
W-
I
Totally
think I
worth it.
totally yeah. I think I whiffed one, and then I was like, Justin, you got to set me up again. I got to redeem myself.
Uh-huh.
And he threw one, and I scored. I think that's
Nice.
how I remember it. Yeah, so I totally redeemed myself.
Totally worth it.
Um, yeah, yeah,
Well,
but it was amazing, man. It was an experience I'll never forget.
that's awesome you did that, and thank you for doing that, and thank you for sharing that. It's really powerful. I want to hear about what you're doing now. I mean, you've done a lot of really cool things centered around soccer, again, as kind of a vehicle for some cool stuff. And I was researching what you guys are currently doing right now with sort of a youth psychology and sports component. Just tell us a little bit about that and what you guys are, striving for.
Yeah, yeah. Real quick, Matt. We ask everyone this question. No right or wrong answer. What percentage of sport in life is mental? If you could put a number to it, 0 to 100.
I mean, 75%.
75. Okay, yeah. 98% of people we say 70% or higher. And usually our follow-up question is, well, and these are like youth sports organizations, like, well, what are you doing to address it? Because certainly if you believe it's 75%, you're doing something to address it. So as a pro, and this stems from my, turning my kind of pain into purpose, but like as pros, we had needlers, cuppers, masseuses, acupuncturists,
Hmm.
dietitians, physical therapists, doctors, but not someone who you said, Matt, was 75% of performance
Hmm.
in life.
Right.
Does that not boggle your mind
Yeah,
that
it
MLS
does.
clubs still to this day don't provide sports psychologists for the organizations?
Yes.
And you're talking about at that level, you're talking about a 0.5%.
Hmm.
A 0.5% can take you from coming off the bench to being an all-star.
That's
You
right.
know what I mean? So
Hmm.
you're speaking of like, all this stuff. We go into data, we go into stats, and we go into sleep, and put all these gadgets on us, and we're telling 13-year-old kids to watch every single one of their games,
Right.
but we're not providing them with tools to combat the one constant of life, which is stress and crap and challenge and struggle coming your way. So for me, man, I really struggled as a pro. I played 9 years, but I struggled big time. Depression,
Hmm.
some suicide ideation, Matt, because I didn't start
Hmm.
developing eating disorder because I was trying to gain an edge,
Hmm.
right? And I really wasn't addressing what I needed to, and that was the head and the heart.
Yep. Well,
And
that's
so I go ahead.
no. I was just saying that's amazing. That's awesome.
Well, so COVID, we got started during COVID, and we're already in a 60-year upswing of anxiety, depression, suicide, and COVID comes and it's just exacerbated everything.
Hmm.
So Nelson Mandela stole my quote, man. Sports the greatest opportunity to change the world. And so we're challenging youth soccer clubs, and we work with colleges and pros as well, but to like prioritize this, right? If you do you want to win more games, well then you're missing the boat. And everyone wants to win more games, but people don't want to engage in this stuff, right? So at Soccer Resilience, we're just trying to come alongside youth sports organizations to help parents, players, and coaches give them tools to combat stress and combat life and combat anxiety and just have more fun playing the game and
Hmm.
play freer and all that sort of stuff.
Well, that's just incredible. And yeah, I mean, I've got two sons that I love dearly, and they're extremely athletic and way more athletic than I was. And
How
you know,
cool is that watching your kids play?
oh, it's the best. But literally does keep me up at night that I'm putting too much on them, and I really don't. I tell them all the time, I'm like, you can walk away tomorrow. Like, I just want you to be happy. I just want you to make friends. I don't care if it's the chess club, but it just so happens they're really good at sports and they really enjoy it.
That's
And,
awesome.
my oldest son plays travel baseball and AAU basketball, and he's the quarterback for his football team. And then my youngest son's playing for the Fusion, and he plays back. And I'm like, as much as we had coming along, it's like double now, and
Yeah.
it's scary. I mean, I'm like, oh man, like even last night, my son had AAU basketball practice, and I was just like, is this too much? Is this too much stress for them? And everything's gotten so professionalized. So I just commend you on what you're doing, and I think you're on something big. And in fact, I may be in touch with you on that for some of my son's sports teams to maybe partner with you guys.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it sounds like you got the right perspective, brother, and he's going to be okay in your hands.
I hope so, man. Thank you. Well, I can't believe we're at the rapid fire, but let's dive into it if that's cool with you. So we ask everyone this, and it's just fun stuff. So right off the top, Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
Yeah, right on.
100%.
Gotcha. Number 2, Messi or Maradona?
Messi.
Nice. Number 3, Ronaldo or Ronaldo? So Cristiano versus Il Fenomeno.
Brazil, Ronaldo.
Right on. Nice. Donovan or Dempsey?
Oh God, that's a good one. I'll go Dempsey because I like his attitude a little bit.
His swagger. Yeah. You probably know him pretty well, huh?
No, I don't know him well.
But you played against
him a whole
him.
bunch. Yeah.
Awesome. And the other was going to.
But Donovan's great, man.
I
love Donovan.
Captain America. Who is your favorite player of all time?
Favorite player of all time? God, that's a great question. Justin Moose.
Nice, love it. Awesome.
Justin Moose. I'll tell you, another guy is Jeff Larentowicz. I played my entire MLS career with him.
Great player.
Great player, man. Just true professional.
Maybe we can get him on. I was a huge fan.
Steve Ralston. Steve Ralston too.
Great
one of my
player.
favorites, man. One of the best players I ever played.
Awesome player.
Michael Parker's.
Yep.
A lot of them.
Fantastic. Who's your favorite center mid of all time? Sticking with the theme of the show.
Center mid of all time? It's a great question. Gray Ballard.
Nice. Love it.
You know Gray Ballard?
I know the name. It's
okay.
Yeah.
He grew up in Winston. He actually grew up in Elkin.
Oh, nice.
But played at Wake.
Oh, nice.
He's like an astrophysicist professor at Wake now. So he's a really smart guy. But we played together youth and in college. So
awesome.
Gray Ballard.
Awesome. Who's the best player you ever played with or against?
I'd say Jeff is one of them. Jeff Larentowicz for sure. Steve Ralston, Taylor Twellman's up there.
Nice.
Donovan.
Nice. I love Taylor Twellman. He's like my number one dream guest on the show.
Is he really?
I love Taylor Twellman. I loved him as a player, and I love everything about him and what he's doing now.
Yeah.
Jumping into my favorite one, name your perfect 11 from any era.
Yeah, so you gave me a little heads up on this.
Yeah.
So Matt Pickens, goalie.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote it down for you.
Yeah.
Kosuke Kimura, right back. Greg Reese played at South Carolina. Center defender with Pat Phelan.
Oh, yeah.
Drew Moore on the left. Steve Ralston, Barrett Pleasance, Gray Ballard, and William Spry in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And then Justin Moose and Omar Cummings up top.
Awesome. Love it. And then last question, what's your favorite jersey of all time?
Favorite jersey?
Mm-hmm.
Probably my Twins jersey that I used to wear. I still have it. Actually, I fit into it. It's
awesome.
Nice and snug, but Twins,
awesome.
Yeah.
Our arch nemesis / again, no, I'm kidding. But we had some battles with those guys. I love them all, and a lot of them are dear friends to this very day. And,
no, dude, it runs deep, man. I don't even want my kids playing for NCFC. I hate them.
Yeah.
Because I grew up playing against Castle. It's like, man,
they were the evil empire.
They play there now.
They were the evil empire. The Raleigh Caps were the evil empire to us. And I don't know how many state finals we won. A couple. They certainly won their fair share too. But well, hey man, this has been unbelievable. Again, you gave me chill bumps a bunch of times, and I appreciate you sharing your story, what you're doing now.
Thanks, Matt.
Congratulations to all your success. It's good to meet another Twin City friend.
Yeah,
now friend.
absolutely, brother.
And, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Keep being an awesome person, and have a good one, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.
All
See
right.
you.
See you.